Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 114. We've already got our booster juice. We're down in the basement. We just finished Dynamite. We're going to talk about Dynamite and a whole bunch of other stuff from the world of wrestling this week. I'm your host. My co-host and teenage son is here. Jack, are you here?
No. I'm absent this week.
It has been week of work for you, huh? Employed boy, his first job if you're a regular listener, you know Jack got his first ever job about, 3 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Still haven't been paid?
No, and I've been in since Tuesday.
Right, you'll be working Tuesday to Sunday this week, which is
Monday.
awesome. Oh, you work Monday as well?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay. So yeah, you've been very busy. I've been busy too, just with work plus coaching 2 sports. So I was coaching every night except Monday this week, I think it was, right? I'm doing volleyball as well as your brother's rep basketball team, so that's keeping me busy, but it's fun. And then I don't know, what else did we get up to this week? Your brother's birthday, but you were at work, so we went out for a fancy dessert with a couple of his buddies and sort of hung out and whatnot, and I don't know. But I'm pretty excited to talk about wrestling this week. I had an enjoyable week of watching wrestling. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss? We were just talking off air about our plans to maybe go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because we get long story short, we get this weird week off at the end of October. Technically, your brother doesn't.
Now it's the week before Halloween.
Week before Halloween, so we're back for Halloween.
Mm.
So we have in the past gone Caribbean, but we're going to sort of hold off one more year on doing that again. So I think we're going to head down to beautiful Buffalo for a couple days just to shop at some different places, stay in a different place.
And fulfill my lifelong dream of going to Target.
Right, because it's only about 2.5 hours away from where we live in southern Ontario, so it's not a big trip. We can go like midweek when things aren't busy. Hopefully the border crossing's not bad, and just sort of, I don't know, hang out in a hotel for a couple nights. Do a very budget vacation. So, and I know you want to hit Target and do some figure hunting.
Because then I'll actually have stuff worthwhile. Maybe I can get that stuff.
Well, you know what's on the way to and from Buffalo, don't you?
Oh, yeah, that's the place in Niagara.
Hamilton. We have to drive by Hamilton
too.
Basically too. So a couple
so I'll go there then.
collectible stores we know of on the way. We'll see what we hit and what we do. But yeah, that's our possible plan. I don't know if anyone really cares, but we like to banter about non-wrestling stuff for a few minutes because I know there's a couple people that listen that
general idea.
That aren't wrestling people and just listen to us yammer for a little bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't really have anything else exciting going on. What about you? No?
Mm-hmm.
So you're ready? Are you going to use words or just like grunting today? You're drinking your booster juice right into the microphone, which you know I love. It's like ASMR/wrestling review for you. You can listen to this kid slurp on a smoothie.
ASMR review. Is that even a thing?
I don't know. But anyways, I say we get started and talk about some of the week's wrestling news and rumors. All right, taking a look at the ratings this week, we've got NXT, which averaged 668,000 viewers this week, which is down 5.49%. Earned 8.15 in the key demographic, which is the same. So that slow, incremental upward climb it seems to be on has stopped this week. Not a significant drop. They're still right around 700,000, which I think is very good for them. They're probably quite happy with that. So it was the 3rd best overall audience of the year so far. Dynamite this week stayed over 1 million for I don't know how many weeks in a row it is now, 4 or 5 probably. So they got 1.039.
This was a Grand Slam this week, right?
It was. So it was still down.
A little bit more of an attraction.
But still down from last week, 11%, but still over that million mark. And they earned a 0.35 in the key demo, which is down from 0.39 last week. So a little bit of a dip, but I still think pretty solid numbers. And they still ranked number 1 in the top 150 shows on cable for Wednesday night. So that's something they always seem to be first or second in that category. So a decent week for, I think, a bit of a downturn for both, but I think those are still decent numbers for each company. So a good week, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You?
So I saw that Triple H is implementing a new 2-year rule for NXT.
Yes.
So basically it's I think last time they were doing when 2.0 started, they were doing a year, I think.
Yes.
And so I think 2 years pretty fair. I think
I don't hate it.
I think other sports are also more cutthroat when it comes to this kind of thing.
Yes.
So I think it's fair. And apparently this puts a lot of current roster members on the clock.
Right, I saw that phrasing as well.
That'll be interesting. But yeah, so basically 2 years, if you don't improve, you're gone.
And I guess this whole on the clock implies that 2 years from not starting right now, but starting when you got there.
Right.
Right. So I don't think it's terrible either because if it's developmental, then you should have developed to a certain degree in 2 years. And if you're already an established person, if they haven't found a spot for you on main roster in 2 years, right, then away you go.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe there is some exceptions because, like,
There could be. Like
I
if
mean,
you,
Tyler Bates still around.
yeah, true.
I guess Dragonov's been around
Unless
for a
they're
while
arguing they're
too.
not counting UK, I don't know.
Or like, I guess it's still like NXT or like, I don't know. I guess like a lot of the NXT guys are gone now, but
But even Breaker, so he's got a year gone already, right? So if you think about someone like that, so he within
yeah,
the
but I think
year,
he's an easy one to go up.
he is,
So
he is for sure. So I think like that's a reasonable amount of time, right?
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I don't hate it. First news item for me is it came out recently that Bobby Fish, recently been released by AEW, or was it a non-renewal? I don't want to use
It was a non-renewal.
okay, so not
I'm pretty
released,
sure.
but finished his time, we'll say, with AEW. The report
Contract
is
went up.
that he tried to get his former Undisputed Era friends to ask for their AEW releases. So
I think, or
that would be
I don't know.
Cole and O'Reilly, and that's it, I guess.
I appreciate the effort because I wish they would stay together. But
Yeah, so obviously they said no, and one of the people who commented under this that was joking, it was kind of funny, was basically like, Bobby Fish said something about like he'd go to war for Triple H or whatever, right? Hoping to get back into WWE, and Triple H is like their like funny made up response was basically, actually, we were kind of hoping to get you as a whole group, right? Like, thanks, Bobby Fish, but we don't really want you. We want the whole group, and he can't get the whole group back. So we'll see what happens. I like Bobby Fish.
I
but
wish it was together. And on that note, Bobby Fish also appeared at Impact Wrestling's Victory Road last night.
Right, which I have watched the first 2 matches of as of this Saturday. What is it? Just early afternoon as we're recording this. So I've watched the opener and the Machine Guns and PCO and Vincent tag team match. Actually, that match over delivered because I wanted to hate it, but it actually was a very solid tag match. So yeah, I haven't gotten to that part
Yeah,
yet.
that
But
kind of sucks because
I do know what happened.
that's just lame.
What?
Bobby Fish goes to Impact like that. That just kind of sucks.
I mean, it's kind of a good fit for him because he'll be like he could move beyond mid card in
Yeah,
Impact.
I just don't really care about Impact.
I know.
Honestly, I think we should have got more Redragon.
We'll talk about Impact later, or I will, because I watched it. But it seems to be shifting a little bit. I guess I'll say it now, and I hope not repeat it later. It feels like they're going with longer matches on their TV program, and so far I like it better. Like most of them are actual reasonable TV matches the last couple weeks, so I'm kind of enjoying it a little bit. And we'll talk about it when we get to Highspots and Restholds. What else do I have? It might not mean much to some people, but Gabe Sapolsky is back with WWE. It's unclear at this point whether that's main roster. So he's like a backstage producer type role. So we're not sure if it's main roster or NXT, but the reason I care about that is I kind of like a lot of his work. He was one of the many names working for Triple H as in NXT as part of that team. He also, some of the work he did in Evolve, I really liked. He was working for or owned it, or was the main guy, the booker, I think, for Evolve when WWE took it over. So I'm glad that he's back. If we are gonna, I would selfishly like to see him go back to NXT and sort of build that brand back again. But I'm glad to see him back, I think.
Mm-hmm. I would say the biggest news of the week, and not the Saudi Arabia stuff. The biggest news of the week is Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle set to face off again at Extreme Rules in the Fight Pit.
Yeah,
Fight Pit.
So I don't know if it's just because
The Fight Pit.
I listen to all similar-minded stuff, but everyone I listen to and whatever is everyone liked Fight Pit matches.
The comments too. Yeah, on like the post, everyone loves Fight Pit.
It's
Fight
a unique,
Pit's awesome.
It's like a unique match to that brand or that company, I guess, since they're moving it up from NXT. But yeah, I always enjoyed it. Right? Can I ask you a question? There was two. Were they both the no crowd era? With no crowd, or did one of them have a crowd?
So the first one was 2020. The first one was no crowd, or at least like when they had the plant-ins.
Right.
And then the second one was Thatcher and Champ. That was CWC era. So that I think would have been like.
Did they have fans?
I think that was like the mass fans, like the half Thunderdome thing.
Okay.
I want to say.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like the match type as well, especially if you get the right people. Like Riddle's a perfect fit, obviously, and Rollins can work any style. So I think
it makes sense for Riddle to kind of take over the match type if Thatcher's gone, because Riddle was also in the first one. So I guess you could kind of appropriate it for him. That's awesome because I for one like to show Fight Pit repeatedly over and over.
Fight Pit is fun to say.
Yeah,
Fight Pit.
Fight Pit. Yeah.
And
Brock Fight Pit. Boom.
Yeah, and you're
It's awesome.
introducing a new match type to main
To the main
roster
roster,
fans
yeah.
who haven't.
It's one of
go
them
watch.
recent concepts they've had that I actually love.
I agree.
It's
As long
really
as you
cool.
put the right people in it, right?
I think it should be Riddle's match.
I think so
it's
too.
Cool.
It makes sense.
I mean, I guess you could give it to someone else too, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that
Fits better than
also
Riddle.
fits, like, is that style.
Like Lesnar, obviously, but he doesn't need it.
Lesnar doesn't need any else. He's also never around.
Right.
Unless
So
you
I
did
agree.
Lesnar Riddle in a fight pit.
I think Riddle's the
Fight
perfect fit, especially if you're trying to sort of distance yourself from goofy pothead Riddle.
And it adds some intrigue to Extreme Rules because it's a stipulation match, but it's unique.
Yeah.
And already, like, with Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey having Extreme Rules match, they're already doing better than last year when they literally only have one Extreme Rules match.
You reminded me of that, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Where Demon Balor pumped back to life.
Right.
And then the turnbuckle fell off.
Right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Extreme Rules with one Extreme Rules match.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mostly regular rules.
Kind of makes me happy as somebody still watching NXT and not a big fan. That's Gigi Dolan and JC Jane appear to be set to be going up to main roster at any time in the near future. So,
but that stinks up the join up on main roster.
I know, but I watch that less still at this point. So they've been used on the main roster already fairly recently, right? They replaced Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark in the women's tag tournament. I kind of feel like they need to all three go. So I'm wondering, does somehow Mandy Rose go too? Because do you really think that those two on their own are going to like stick? Or I don't know. I feel like they need the trio. Yeah. Not even that I'm a huge fan, because I'm not. But
no, I hate him, but I think it makes
does it work with just Jane and Dolan? I think it works even less, right?
I think it works less. As much as I hate them all.
I agree. Like, the act itself is already not good, and I think it will be worse.
I don't think you want to make it, suck more.
I agree. So I guess we'll see, but I'm okay with seeing them go. They had a match this week that was pretty bland on NXT, and that's generally what it is. Like, yeah, I guess they're fine, but I'm never excited by any of their work. And they've been their clock is running.
Oh, yeah.
Mandy Rose's clock is got to be expiring. Did she predated 2.0?
She did. They all did. So I would say summer 2021.
Right. So tick tock, as Cross would say, right?
Oh, well, that's funny because Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre are set to face off at Extreme Rules. Well, it's a double segue because my last one was Extreme Rules related, so it's like a double segue.
Nice.
In a strap match.
We are professionals.
Everyone's favorite match type.
Ugh, my favorite. Match. You tie two people
Karrion
together.
Kross plus a strap.
How could it be limiting?
Yeah.
Or them have to. Remember, people are like trying to get in and out of the ropes, and they're like struggling to figure that kind of stuff out. It's not my favorite.
So that's something. I mean, at least it's something different, and we don't see a ton of strap matches.
True.
So at least it's like I said, at least they're kind of building some interest for Extreme Rules because it's at least different. I don't think Roman Reigns will be on the show, so I think this is like one of the front runners for a possible main event.
I guess. Yeah.
I would personally like to see Fight Pit go on last. But I don't think it won't.
No.
Or I don't think it will.
Me either.
So far that would bring us with the strap match, Fight Pit, and Morgan Rousey again.
Yay! Wow, how many times is that?
It's 3. Well, if you include the cash in. I also know that so Gunther and Sheamus are having a rematch on. I would personally I feel like they're kind of setting up Sheamus to win. I personally would like Sheamus to win at the pay-per-view. Maybe add like a stipulation on that.
Yeah.
Like Walter beats the crap out of him again, give Sheamus another good showing, and then maybe he gets like one more shot. Like, you put like, let's say, career on the line, whatever, like something like that. Like Ziggler did, remember 2016, the Miz feud, to get another shot, and then you add like a stipulation on like Extreme Rules or something that fits Walter maybe.
Yeah.
And then you could have Sheamus win on the pay-per-view, because I'd like to, A, that's another mid-card title spotlight, B, I want more stipulations on the show, because I like what they're doing so far. Like, you got to have an Extreme Rules match. I think somewhere along the line, you maybe have a cage match, because Imperium just cost Brawling Brutes a tag match, so they could have a cage match.
You said Brawling Brutes.
Sorry.
Hate yourself. You should see his face right now. He's so disappointed in himself.
And so maybe you could have like a cage match so that Imperium and Pete Dunne and Rich Holland are out of there. I mean, Fight Pit's kind of a cage match, but like, I don't know, or like throw some
different enough. I think
it's different enough.
Yeah.
And then you could have like, I don't know, Lashley versus someone. Like, I'd rather not, but you could do tables match, I guess. Or
you
like,
could.
I don't know. If Reigns is not on there, I think you definitely have to throw both mid-card titles on there. Like Lashley's been doing open challenges, like he just defended against Rollins,
right?
And Riddle cost him, which set up Fight Pit. So I mean,
Fight
I
Pit.
kind of like I don't know if you can build something for Lashley. I don't know who you build, but like it doesn't have to be like super huge. But I just like
how far away are we from Extreme Rules? How many weeks do they have to like? Because I don't even really know what's going on main roster. A little bit, but not.
October 8th.
Okay, so they got a couple weeks, basically.
Mm-hmm. So I think they should. I mean, maybe they could do. Oh, Belair and Bailey would be an easy throw stipulation on there because that's already.
Well, that could be cage to keep the other ones out.
That could be cage
to keep the other two out.
I think that would also work, and then Walter and Sheamus could be. I don't know. I hope they add some more stuff because honestly, it looks solid so far. I mean, obviously strap matches isn't the best, but I like that they're at least throwing stuff there.
Yep.
This time, I think Triple H is.
We'll definitely watch it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it, I'm sure. Fight Pit.
Mm-hmm.
My final news item is not anything major because it's not confirmed. I haven't seen it confirmed, but I don't know. It's basically Dave Meltzer on his radio program thinking that Wardlow is probably injured during the match. I think from Rampage, maybe.
Wardlow?
He appeared to be hurt. Don't know how serious. This is a quote from him. He appeared to have a leg injury, but he did come back. So
interim.
And it's just that dude's cooled off too. So an injury doesn't. This would be bad timing, or maybe good timing, depending how you look at it, I guess. Because his momentum, as they would say in WWE, is not super strong for me right now.
I'm calling it interim again.
But that's all I have.
Yep. So I got two more. Very happy news. Hangman Page won the Golden Ticket Battle Royal of Rampage.
Right.
So he's got a future title shot against, spoiler alert, Moxley. So that basically means we'll get Hangman versus Moxley at some point down the line, which is awesome because those are like my two favorite guys, and suck at CM Punk.
I was just going to say, and it's a bit of a middle finger to CM Punk, maybe.
I'd give him all the middle fingers. Which I guess we can also talk about, like, he's not expected to wrestle again, some sort of buyout, which...
Wade Keller, who's saying, like, he's not 100%, but he doesn't expect that Punk would ever wrestle for AEW again, or at this point, like, never say never, right?
Yeah,
and
Jack
is happy boy about that.
Well, I'm very happy. Not even just, like, the Punk thing, that's an added bonus, but Hangman and Mox are my two favorite guys.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
I'm happy with that. Yeah, it's awesome. And then, speaking of awesome, Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns for the title. Yes, Logan Paul. At Crown Jewel. So let me reiterate that for everybody. Logan Paul, who has had 2 matches in WWE and is a big...
Looked good, though. I'm not going to lie, for being a celebrity.
He's a big dick bag.
I hate him, too. But...
He's getting a title match against Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. Logan Paul in Saudi Arabia. And obviously per the Saudi Prince request because they're a big bunch of doofs.
That love... Why? Because they love Logan Paul?
Well, Saudi Arabia.
Other reasons, too.
So, and they wanted Goldberg, so...
We, interestingly enough, just came downstairs from watching, maybe a minute or two of the press conference, and my comment was that Logan Paul is playing himself and doing a worse job than Roman Reigns playing a character.
I hate Logan Paul so much.
Roman Reigns was amazing in that. Like, the little bit we watched, he's come so far from the Roman Reigns when they were jamming him down our throat, and he wasn't very believable. Like... He is that.
Ironically, his motto was "Believe that."
Right, and his character now, he is that character. Like he is a main event cornerstone of a company, right? I don't always love his in ring. Like I think he's good in ring, and he's for what WWE wants, he's perfect for them. So
yeah. Oh yeah, he definitely and Logan Paul. I feel like it is him playing himself, but it's also not because he's.
He's hateable.
Because he's denying.
He's trying to not be hateable.
Inner douchebag, which he's being himself, but he's being the himself that people want.
Yes.
That he wants people to see, and not the himself that I think he naturally is.
Carl Jung would call it his persona. It's what he's projecting to the world.
Yeah, he's projecting
how he wants to be perceived.
Untrue things.
Right. Yep. Is that the end of news?
It is.
All right. So I'm pretty excited to talk about this next item, which is this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. All right, tell me all about Grand Slam, fella.
All right, we open the show with Claudio Castagnoli, the only time I'm typing his last name, defending the Ring of Honor World title against Chris Jericho.
And I was like, where did this come from? Was I supposed to know this? Right, so I didn't know this was coming, actually. But I welcome it. Because Jericho's been on since he got into really good shape, right? He's been having very good matches.
The dancing ones were good.
And we were
What
close.
did he do before the dance?
We were pretty close to being like done with Jericho. Like if you
Oh
go
yeah,
back about a couple
especially
months
in
or
the
more, maybe I
yeah.
don't know.
I would say even like I would say especially before Jazz and
Right.
like or especially in the MJF feud, I was like retire.
Yeah, like
Like,
I've seen enough, right? But then he went away, got in great shape.
I would say
He's
around the arena anarchy stuff that was pretty good.
having some good matches. Even though I'm not loving Jazz, I wasn't loving like him going back to all of his characters. Didn't really
But the
do much
matches
for
were
me.
solid.
Right, the matches themselves are
The
good.
Mox
So
one was solid. Both dancing ones have been good.
so I'm okay with. I was okay with seeing this show up as an
Mhm.
opener.
There's rapid uppercuts in the corner from Claudio. Claudio lifts Jericho to military press and then crotches him on the top rope.
You all right?
Okay, there we go. Suplex from the apron by Jericho, which that looks pretty cool. That's
It
one of
did.
his usual spots now.
Yes, he's been doing that lately.
Jericho attempts a Frankensteiner, but Claudio catches it and then tries to hit an avalanche powerbomb, but then Jericho kind of counters back into the Hurricanrana,
Oh, that makes sense.
which was pretty cool.
Because my note says counter from the top rope. Nice. But I didn't have details. So
Really, that's what you wrote.
because I knew you would fill it in for me. And I would be like, oh, yeah, I like that spot.
Jericho
usually what I
goes
do.
for a codebreaker. Claudio catches him and then drops him in an uppercut for a 2 count. That was kind of cool.
It was.
Jericho goes for a low blow and Claudio blocks that and then hits a Ricola bomb for 2.
Yeah, believable near fall
Mhm.
there for me.
Jericho locks on the walls of Jericho. Claudio eventually counters out, stomps Jericho's face, and then swings him a bunch.
Really, really nice looking swing. And Jericho looks like he's suffering the whole time, which I thought was a nice touch too.
When Jericho, oh yeah, the ref is distracted after Claudio stopped a bad shot from Jericho, so then the ref's getting that out of there. Jericho then hits a low blow and a juice effect, and he gets the win.
Yeah, I
gets the ocho.
surprised by the match existing, right, for me, and surprised by the result of this for sure. But I still thought it was an excellent match. I got really into it, and a peek behind the curtain here. There was a lot of distractions, right? Your aunt was over for your brother's birthday. She had ordered Domino's that was being discussed and whatever, but I was very still able to like focus on this match. I thought it was really good. There were some cool counters and near falls, like a very strong opener. The aftermath was a nice continuation too, right, of the Garcia storyline, because he didn't look thrilled. The rest of Jazz are obviously thrilled and celebrating Jericho's win, and Garcia's not really. And then he's even like hanging back among the crowd as they're sort of celebrating.
It's kind of weird that the least.
So I like that.
What the least pro wrestling faction, the least honorable faction, has 2 of Ring of Honor's belts.
No. Right.
It's kind of.
And I think that might be kind of the point, right? Is it's.
I think it was funny because then Jericho was also saying in the interview that like he's like how honorable he is, and like
right.
So I think that could be a funny part of his gimmick now, because
that
seems like a very Jericho thing, like
right.
Le Champion.
The sports entertainment group have the least sports entertainment companies titles, right? Is kind of the way they're going. So
I don't think has he not held a title since the AEW title, I think, right? So
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So the title change made this feel even more important and kind of caught me by surprise too. I thought this was a really good start to the show, and even like the continued storyline of Garcia, I thought was really nicely included at the end without like taking away from anything. So I thought this was really good all around. That's going to be a lot of me saying that.
Yeah.
Just as a little bit of a preview of this review.
Solid opener, surprising result. I agree. Like I got spoiled on this before we watched it, and I was like, what?
You are Dr. Spoiler. It's funny,
really
folks. He gets spoiled on everything because we don't watch a lot live or anything live, and I get spoiled on nothing. So it's quite interesting to see. Other than you spoil things, because I can read you like a book. So even your tiny little reactions, I know. But anyways, carry on.
I think it makes 2 weeks in a row, or maybe 3 if you include All Out, that Jericho's had a good match. Like he's definitely doing a better job recently. The last week and this one have been great. I really like last week's. I'm really surprised that Jericho won this one. They did make a whole thing on Rampage that he's won 7 world titles. The only place he's missing one is ROH. And I guess that maybe foreshadowed this a bit, but not really, because it was a really short build. I don't think he could have done a longer build because he was also involved in the tournament, but nonetheless. And also, they're wrong, because he was in New Japan, and he never held the world title. And you can't say he was there for a short time, because I know he held the Intercontinental title, so he was clearly there long enough to win titles, and he didn't hold the world title there, so suck it.
So he's holding up the 8 fingers now, right? Is that his thing?
The Ocho.
The Ocho.
Yeah, right. So technically now he should go to Japan and win that
Get the
title.
Nuevo.
Sure.
That's 9, I believe.
In what?
Spanish.
Oh.
That's Ocho.
Okay. So he's got to go beat Jay White.
Then. There was a famous football player who legally changed his name to Ocho Cinco, which was his jersey number, 85.
Nice.
Changed his name to Ocho Cinco, like legally. Interesting cat.
People change their...
Chad Johnson, I want to say, was his real name. Anyways,
people change their names now to dumber things.
Correct.
So.
Sometimes.
I don't love him as champion because I don't really feel like it works. I don't just like the Jazz thing, but I feel like he's been doing good matches, but like I don't know if I really need him as Ring of Honor champion because I think Claudio does a good job.
I'm kind of in the camp of I wouldn't have done it, but I'll
open
wait and see where it goes. Yeah.
It was a good opener though.
It was for sure.
Next we get Moxley Danielson promo. Regal says it's a big night for Blackpool Combat Club. Mox says this is their Super Bowl. It's the biggest talk referring to the title. And Danielson recounts everyone he's lost to, in major match he's lost. He's also beaten them, kind of gotten his win back, like Garcia and Hangman. He just beat Jericho. He just beat, and that just leaves Moxley because obviously, I think Danielson took the loss at Revolution.
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
I love that detail.
And Moxley says he doesn't just need to win; he knows he will win. I thought it was a solid little package. I actually like this a lot. I like what they both said. I like Moxley's always elevating that title, even though here he doesn't have it yet. He's still putting over how important it is,
and you believe it,
right? And he definitely makes the belt. He doesn't. The belt doesn't make him and I think that's why he's a good choice to keep putting it on because I think he elevates it a lot, and because they do tout it as the biggest title around, and I think that it goes a long way to have Mox elevating because I think that puts it more towards that.
This year, man,
and Danielson's bit was good too.
This year has, and you were early to this party way before me, this year's made me a fan of Moxley. Before I would say, I get that people like him and I think he's, he's a good performer and whatever, but now I would say I'm a fan, man. And a lot of people are but he's not amazing in the ring, but watch his matches. Do you enjoy his matches or not?
I think he's great in the
ring. He's not a bad wrestler. So yeah, I like this package too. It was really nice to hear Danielson speak because I feel like I haven't much lately. Mm-hmm. And what he said is just that's all the motivation this guy needs, right? Is you're the only guy I haven't avenged my loss, so that's super important to him. So I like this.
I like it too.
Accomplished a lot really quickly.
Yeah, it's really good. I've been Moxley fan since day one. He's been my favorite guy for the whole time.
We have Dean Ambrose side plates right beside you.
Dean Ambrose side plates there. Yeah, he was my favorite even when he kind of sucked.
Shout out to Coots for the side plates, right?
Oh, yeah.
You love that gift so much.
Oh, yeah. I still need a belt, man. I still need a belt. Right. Maybe someday I'll have the funds for that, actually.
If you ever get paid.
If I ever get paid. But yeah, so this was a nice little bit. Next we move to the tag title match between the Acclaimed and the defending champs, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, coming out with Fabulous.
Yeah, I didn't know who that was.
I know nothing.
I'm not hip or cool, so...
That's a dumb name, too. Just spell words right. Honestly.
Rematch of a match I loved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Notables are down. We got Hurricane Rana by Lee to Bowens.
And so the entrance rap made reference to current political stuff, taking a shot at former Governor Cuomo there. Called Swerve and Keith Lee a whatever ounce Pepsi and a 2-liter Pepsi, which I thought was funny. And they made a reference to the Little Mermaid, how people are up in arms about the Little Mermaid being black.
I saw that.
Get over it, people.
That's not, I mean, I would say sure it's a little weird, but that's because it's only ever been the white cartoons.
So right, who cares though? But and it's a made up fictional character.
It's
Do
not
whatever you want.
Something where I feel like it'd be weird if they changed Aladdin because isn't the whole point
from
Aladdin's
that area
how he is, right? So it's not she's literally a mermaid, which isn't real. So you could
do what you want, people.
Fragile
white people, get over it.
Yeah, but anyways, that's not a bad reference to make. I don't know. It was good. I liked it. And
it was funny. I
liked it now, because they're red hot. So he'll be yo, and they'll be they'll say it back. It's the crowd was hot. Man,
right
they
out of
booed
the gate.
Swerve right off the bat.
Yes, and which I like too.
I do like him being a heel, but I think it's mostly something I think he's leaning into it, but I don't even think it's that he's a heel. I think it's that just the Acclaimed are over.
Correct.
They ain't cheering against the Acclaimed.
That's for sure part of it. The boos are going to be definitely elevated because they love Acclaimed so much.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it shakes out after this. What
his reaction is when it's not the Acclaimed.
Yeah. Right. And I'll talk about that after, I guess. So then Lee goes to Beal Caster, but he counts her into an arm drag, which is kind of neat. The Acclaimed go to do a scissor ton, so Swerve just runs in and then drop kicks them.
And that's a great leaning into heel, right? Because the crowd wants that gesture so much, and Swerve takes it away from him.
And kind of taking advantage of this. And then you can kind of see Lee going
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Lee's kind of selling the, like, I'm not fully on board with this heelness fella kind of
Which is
thing,
weird,
which
'cause he
is
kind
cool.
of did seem like that all out. Like, he seemed like they were both kind of leaning into it, so that's kind of weird that they changed it. But
Yep.
I get what they're doing. Caster hits Lee with a suplex and then makes a tag out to Bones for a hot tag for, like, he suplexes Lee, like, full on. It was pretty cool.
It's just weird to see Lee being picked up and thrown at that body type. It's just strange to see him in the air at all, basically, by any means.
Mm-hmm. And then Swerve nails Bones. I've swapped the E and the N by accident with a house call, which I love the house call. It's such a simple move, but he always hits it so good.
It
looks
nice.
so awesome.
And it looks like it would hurt.
It does. They get a nice snap on it too.
Yep.
Then after Bones took out Lee with that strike combo he does, which also looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Lee beals Bones over the ropes and on the entrance ramp, and that looked awesome. Because it was funny, because I thought he was like gonna beal him over. I was like, oh yeah, he's chucking him on to Swerve and Caster. And then when he went over, I remember there's a ramp there, and I was like, oh.
And the ramp is like it's
like
highway scrolling.
Yeah,
by,
it's the long LED ramp.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what was it like? Looked like they were moving or whatever. When was that? Was it Mox?
It wasn't this. It was somewhere later where
was
it looked.
Mox and Danielson, I think. Like they were just like laying on the. Oh wait, no, it might have been Yuta. I don't know. There was one point where like people were like laying on the ramp because I think something happened. It might have been the Yuta thing, but like it looked like they were moving.
Yeah.
Because the highway's moving, but they're just like it was funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, Lee misses a middle rope moonsault to Caster, which looks. I mean, if you're taking that,
ridiculous.
that would probably kill Caster because he's just like. Swerve tries to hit Caster at the boombox, and he ducks and hits Lee while the ref is distracted.
And
after that, Bones hits a blockbuster to Lee, and Caster goes for the mic drop, and then comes down on his knee and he can't hit it, which is kind of weird.
And it was an odd camera angle because we just see him like
land on his feet. And
we didn't see him
a weird
come
thing.
off.
I don't know why that happened, but
I was like, oh, did he get pushed? But no, and he just kind of came into frame and hurt.
So Bones just covers Lee anyways for a 2 count. Lee has Caster an electric chair and drops him to Swerve for a sit-up powerbomb for 2, which is kind of cool. And Swerve it's like a springboard 450 like leg drop thing to the outside.
Yes.
That was kind of cool.
It looked like I thought he kicked one of them right in the face. It ended up looking cool. I don't know if it's exactly what they wanted, but it still looked good, I thought.
The finish comes when Swerve was taunting Billy Gunn on the outside, and Lee's trying to kind of like get him back off focus on the what's going on, and then so that's kind of distracting the ref as Lee's going away. So Bones takes advantage, hits Swerve with like some strikes, and then Swerve takes a famous serve from Billy Gunn.
Yes.
And he gets sent back in the ring. The Bones hits the arrival, that slam thingamajiggy.
Yep.
And then Caster falls with a mic drop, and they claim to pick up the win.
And the crowd is very, very happy about this result. I thought this was another really enjoyable match between two teams that they seem to have really good chemistry, right? And the crowd obviously added to their first match and this one because they're just super hot for this. They love the Acclaimed. And like you're saying, because of that, Swerve has major heat with them right now. So, and then you've also got added in that little storyline that it looks like Swerve is a heel and Keith Lee is maybe not. So you kind of wonder where that's going to go. Really entertaining match. Obviously, as you do have to in AEW, sometimes you've got to ignore like the lackluster refereeing with the Billy interference, especially, right? But a really good match, not to the level of the first one, but I would call this an excellent TV tag match with a result that satisfied the crowd, obviously. Or you get a title change with a really hot babyface team. I'm really happy for the Acclaimed. I've been watching Caster since she was very young on the indies, doing the similar type of gimmick, but definitely not as polished and as comfortable as it is now. So it's nice to see him. And what did you say? First gay champion for AEW with Bowen. So that's cool. I thought a really good match here. And like 2 for 2 with this show so far for me.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Not as long as All One and All Out, but I thought it was just as good. Like I'm not really sure that I have a preference either because I thought both were really well done. These teams seem to have some good chemistry together. I think this was well done. The Acclaimed were over like hell because Swerve was instantly booed when he came out, like heavy too. Swerve. Almost drowned out his music. Then the cheers for the Acclaimed were bananas. Swerve and Lee had some cool offense. Whenever Lee does flippy stuff, it's always cool. Then some nice tag offense like that powerbomb bit. I'm sad there's no the Swerve bomb, their finisher, which looks awesome.
Yes, it does.
There's no near fall with that, which I kind of wish we did. Also, I just realized Bowens didn't hit that DDT thing he does.
No.
I kind of like that.
But we're starting to be like, as we were watching that match, go, man, Bowens is really good in the ring now, right?
Yeah. Some surprising spots too, like Lee chucking Bowens on the ramp or the Swerve's 450 outside thingamajig.
Yes.
the crowd waiting in anticipation. They kind of like you can hear them kind of build up during that finish was really great because like and then they just kind of explode when they get the win. I thought that was really nice, and I thought this showcased the Acclaim pretty well too. Especially Bowen's got some nice time to shine. I thought
he looks good.
It was a smart result. You got to strike while the iron's hot with them, so I get that. I'm happy they got it. I think they do deserve it. I think it might be a similar issue with how Swerve and Lee, where they're not like as credible. Like they're not the top team.
They're not FTR. Let's just say it, or Bucks. Yeah, I guess
the FTR is going to be looming over them for a while.
Yeah.
So the tricky bit is I feel like you kind of have to get the belts on the FTR soon, but you also can't. I don't think you can put these teams against each other because they're both really hot right now. So it's like what are the fans going to choose? And I think you kind of need to have them both like definitively. Like I think you give like the Acclaimed a couple months and then maybe they lose the belts at Full Gear to like I don't know. You can truck in a heel team somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe give House of Black a transitional run. I don't know. And then they drop it to FTR maybe at Winter's Coming. You know, like FTR can get them by the end of the year.
Yep.
I don't know. At least these guys will get like a bit of time. I think that
will.
They've earned that at the very least.
I agree.
So good for them.
Yep.
On that note, next we get an FTR interview. So Cash says they all killed in the tag match and they deserve the titles. And he said they've been number one contenders since April and they've like to respectfully ask for their shot since April. That's a long time.
A very long time. Yes.
Yeah, the Guns interrupt because that's what we wanted to see on the show. That's definitely what I wanted to see. They make jokes around the FTR name, like FT. It was stupid. And they say they're looking at a better version of FTR, and they mock FTR and walk off. So this started out promising, and then the Guns walked in. If I've said it once, I'll say it again. The Guns are a waste of time, and I don't like them. FTR were about to come for the titles they should have had months ago, and now it seems like they'll be tied up with the Guns. Briefly or not, it's a waste of their time, and it's a waste of all our time. And also the jokes were lame. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I thought it was fine overall, but I don't like the Guns.
Yeah, I was fine with this. I read something that AEW is downplaying their rankings lately, so they are still keeping them, but they're going to talk about them less, sort of thing. Because I think they've realized they kind of don't make sense at some point.
I don't mind them existing there.
Right. I thought this was a quick way to set up a match, and I don't mind this because the Guns are like mid-low card fodder, right? And that's exactly their role.
That's kind of why I wish they weren't in that faction.
And it doesn't. I'm telling you, with like that faction without MJF is not super impressive, right? It's kind of like you're missing the crown jewel of whatever this group is you're supposed to have. But as we'll see on this show, they are still affiliated. But so I was fine with this. It was a quick way to set up a match because as you're saying, we do have to delay.
Yeah.
FTR Acclaimed if you want to go there. I
just wish that they did a better job of doing that. Like maybe choose a better team.
It wasn't a highlight of the show for me, but I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, it was all right. Next we have Wheeler Yuta interview on the stage. So Yuta's about to talk about the main event, obviously Blackpool Combat Club, whole thing. But MJF's music hits and he walks out. So he says Yuta seems a bit confused, and he says because Yuta has never received and never will receive a reaction like that.
Because it was not a heel reaction MJF came out to.
It's weird.
At best, it was mixed, but probably more cheers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just because Yuta is mid, but because MJF is a god to the fans, and they would drink his spit if they could.
Yeah.
And he says he's a generational talent, and Yuta says what MJF said has some truth. He is a generational talent, and he talks about MJF getting engaged or something, which I didn't know.
You did, yes.
I guess he's pretty kayfabe, so I guess we probably wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
And she's smart, so she may have figured out what we already know, that he's a spineless piece of garbage, and she'll walk out on MJF like MJF walked out on AEW. MJF says he came up to wish Yuta his Blackpool Comic Club buddies good luck, and he says Blackpool Cuckold Club. They're just fighting to lose the title to MJF, which I would agree with.
Could be.
MJF says Yuta can still ask them for advice, though he can ask Danielson how to be injury prone and turn his brain to mush, and ask Regal how to pop pills.
Yeah, then he took a punch.
And then Yuta hits him, and then he attacks him until W. Morrissey comes in, chokes Yuta from behind, and then MJF hits him with the ring. What'd you think of this?
Well, and he shoved Tony Schiavone.
Which, ooh, no.
MJF shoved Tony to the floor. I think the point of that, though, was to be like, I am a despicable heel despite you guys cheering me, right?
Yeah.
And I
gotta get the heat back. Which it did.
And I don't think there's a ton of people that can do that, right? He is still a heel despite being cheered. And I think Yuta, once he got fired up, did a fine job. Like, he's not obviously amazing on the mic, but I thought this was a solid interaction, right? MJF was great. His insults about Danielson and Regal were good. It sets up a match for MJF MJF as he's kind of waiting for his title shot, right? And he and Yuta can have a good match. Obviously, Yuta doesn't need a win. A loss isn't going to hurt him. And like I said, I think shoving Tony is just that clear indication of, despite your reaction, I am still a heel, right? I don't really care about the involvement of Morrissey. It's fine. As they said, like, he'll be around to support whatever. So, yeah, I like this segment as well. What a surprise on this show.
Why is my tabs freezing?
And I did like he referred to Yuta several times as Wheelsy, which made me laugh, right?
Yeah, the first time he said wheels and then it was Wheelsy. That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid segment. It makes sense that they had MJF come out, 'cause I'm not sure how well Yuta carries promo segments on someone, but I thought he did a fine job. Actually turned into pretty good. Kind of builds MJF's eventual showdown with either Mox or Danielson. It's Moxley. I'm just saying that to play into it, but it's obviously Moxley. Like, I knew it would be Moxley.
You already spoiled it once on this show.
Yuta are in, so they're all in Blackpool Comic Club, so it kind of makes sense. MJ got pretty aggressive at the end, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I always got a kick out of that stuff. And the brawl bit was alright, like Morrissey coming in, except he looked cool here, actually, I thought. And he kind of was like scaring off the security. And then we can at least see that the firm does come into effect when needed, like they said it would. So I like that. Yep. And it was a solid bit here.
It was. It's probably the biggest segment promo of the night, right?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot,
I would say.
Of them.
It was pretty in-ring heavy this episode, in a good way.
Yeah, Jade Cargill and Baddies in the interview. Cargill is defending as Diamante and Rampage Grand Slam. Diamante says her friend is the badass, and it's Trina, whoever that is. I honestly forgot.
I have never heard of this person.
I don't know who it was.
I literally did not know.
1 second. Keep talking.
I did not know if this was an independent wrestler I'm supposed to know, or a celebrity, or I had no idea. First of all, I didn't know that Diamante and Jade had any sort of interaction. And then we're bringing this person in as like a heavy or as some sort of, I have no idea who this person is. And that's probably on me for not being.
No, I had no idea either. I only knew because I saw it on the Instagram post already.
No idea.
There it is.
So who is this woman?
So Trina, I don't.
Like a performer of some kind? Actor? Singer?
I'm trying to tell.
Wrestler?
I know she does some brand partnerships.
Social media darling?
I genuinely can't.
Female Logan Paul?
I
can only vamp for so long here.
I can't
before
tell.
You have to say something meaningful.
I genuinely
Okay, well let me look it up while you're talking then.
I'm just trying to look at her.
What's her name?
Trina.
All right, so carry on.
I genuinely do not.
I will tag in for this research. Professionally, as an American rapper, rose to prominence in 1998 with an appearance on the Trick Daddy single, something, blah, blah, blah. The most consistent female rapper of all time, who I've never, ever heard of. But, okay.
How did he be the most consistent rapper?
I don't know. Anyways, let's carry on. This is literally the worst part of this show, and we've already spent far too much on it.
It's the only competition be like,
I don't know.
Oh my god, what's her name again?
Missy Elliott.
Nicki
Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. Why could I not remember the name for a second?
I don't know. Let's get out of this segment, please.
Literally, all I wrote was, I don't know what this was.
I don't either. Like, it's like I said, I as a person just watching Dynamite, although I do tend to follow stuff, this can't possibly land with me when I have no idea.
I literally don't remember the last thing Diamante did since that women's tag tournament that went nowhere.
And then, I'm bringing in this okay, sure. Anyways,
and I'm pretty sure she turned on Diamante, so
this was a miss.
She's like a baddie now.
Cool.
I don't think it's like a permanent thing, but I think it's more like a Mike. Remember Mike Tyson was honorary Inner Circle?
Correct.
Oh my god, that was weird.
And DX, wasn't he?
I
know he wore the shirt and crotch chopped. I know that.
Yeah, he did.
But anyway.
And his kid, I think.
Could be.
Next we get Pac versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW All Atlantic Championship.
Yeah, and right away I think we get a little like to show Cassidy's in a different frame of mind, right? He whips his glasses and that's not because usually he starts out with like lazy Orange Cassidy, but this was right away he's fired up and throwing his glasses in Pac's face.
He no likey Pac.
So I think that was sort of symbolic of because they have history, these two, right? They had one match already.
Yeah. When was that? Revolution 2020, the first Revolution.
If you say so.
The initial Revolution.
And that commentary actually talked about it, and they used that was the match where people realized that
that was Cassidy's first match.
That Cassidy was not just like a cartoon character. Yeah, that he's actually really good.
That was his first match, and then he kind of rose to popularity with the Jericho feud, and then he kind of cooled off. Now he is what he is.
Yep.
So Cassidy kicks it down, then there's a dropkick, then Pac comes back up with a running shotgun dropkick. Later on, Pac sends Cassidy in the post, which looked pretty cool.
It did. Cassidy sells that really well. Him and I think Darby Allin are a couple of my faves with that.
Mustafa Ali used to do it really good.
Yes, him too, because he goes at it so fast.
And he like kind of swings around.
Yes.
Then there's a Spaceman Punch, like the flippy doodad to the outside, but Pac didn't get all of it.
He did not, but they did point out his hip contacted, I think, Cassidy's shoulder, right? And that's what kind of took him out. So it ended up looking okay.
Yeah. Diving shotgun dropkick by Pac for 2. I also wrote Shogun dropkick.
Shogun.
You know, like.
Yeah, I know.
You get it.
I do get it.
Yeah. Where did I see the? Oh, that was the Impact pre-show. One of the guys' names was Shogun.
I tried to watch that match. It was pretty boring.
Oh yeah, apparently I was speaking.
Not boring. It was just jobbers versus not jobbers.
Speaking of Juice Robinson, he's facing Mox next week. Eliminator, baby.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They could have a good match.
Didn't they already face up? No, it was Hangman and Finley.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know.
Juice is okay. He could have a good match.
Didn't he beat Mox? No, Mox beat him for the U.S. title. That was when Mox first went to Japan.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was a while ago.
That was my post.
It was like 2019
Japan
or something,
viewing.
I want to say.
Right.
It was a while ago now. That's so weird. Anyways, Pac goes for a black arrow, but Cassie like sticks up his feet slowly, and Pac's just like standing on the top.
Yeah,
rope.
that was an entertaining little spot. Yes.
Pac drops down, and Cassie rolls him up for 2. Diving DDT by Cassie, which Pac sold the crap out of.
Breaks his back.
He like looked like he died on that. It was like.
And then
amazing.
just as I'm writing that he took that one.
And then Cassie hits a tilt roll DDT, which Pac also took like amazingly for a 2 count. I think that's like the best sell I've ever seen. Like that's just like.
I was just telling you, everything this guy does, every little aspect of wrestling that I complain like the novice NXT people don't do, like all the stuff in between the moves and the selling and the whatever, Pac's the real deal. Like I said to you in the moment, right? If he were 4 inches taller, he would be a super giant megastar.
He might be the best at selling DDTs. I don't know.
No, those 2 back to back were incredible. Him and RVD, man.
I think that's better.
I don't know.
That was insane. Cassie counters the brutalizer in a pin for 2, then nails an orange punch, but Pac gets a rope break on the pin. The finish comes when Pac's leaning over the timekeeper's table, and when Cassie comes to grab him, he like sneaks a shot to the head with a ring bell hammer, and then rolls Cassie in the ring and pins him.
Yeah,
which was interesting.
Yeah, he heel tactics from a babyface question mark, I think. But I think again that's like a compliment to Cassidy, right? That Pac, at the end of the day,
or I think what I also wrote later was I feel like it's like he could be like fed up with all the shenanigans, and also I thought it was because like they keep reiterating how he just does not respect Cassie in any way. So I feel like maybe he wouldn't have done this if he was facing like someone else, but like he does not respect Cassie at all. Like he views him as a joke right beneath him, so he just was like, screw it, I'll cheat.
And at the end of the day, he's a bastard.
Exactly.
Right. So I noticed like at the beginning of this, the crowd energy was down a little bit following those first 2 matches that they were really into, but as this match built, and I think it did. The crowd did get into it again by the end. The finish kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm left a little bit wondering what it means. Like, are we getting a rematch with Cassidy, or is Pac moving on?
I think he should soon, because Ethan Page is on the horizon.
I'm hoping that's what we get when we go. So a very good TV match that was just getting great kind of when it was cut short by that sudden cheat to win. For me, still really enjoyed this, but I would have loved like 5 more minutes. But I get that this show is stacked with really good matches, right? It needed to keep moving. Pac is amazing. Always love him. One of my top couple favorites in the world. And Orange Cassidy, like, I'm not all in on his gimmick and character like a lot of people are, but the man never disappoints me in the ring. So I thought this was a very good match again.
Yep. I thought it was a little slower in the early goings, but still some solid stuff. It was just kind of waiting for it to pick up, which I think it eventually did. I thought once Cassidy got some more offense after a lot of Pac in control is really good, especially because of how Pac sold those DDTs, which was incredible. I think he's maybe the best at doing that. It looks incredible, and he's done that before. I think it was when they won the trios titles, because that's when these 2 would have crossed paths as well. That was a couple weeks ago only. The finish felt a little bit anticlimactic, but I think it kind of works, like I said, because I feel like it could play into their kind of dynamic with like he just doesn't respect Cassidy. And I thought the matches have all been delivering so far. This was pretty good.
Everything so far.
We roll right into another match, which is the 4-way for the AEW Interim Women's World Championship. That is a mouthful for 1 belt. As long as also the Undisputed Universal Championship. That's like a
Mm-hmm.
A lot of words.
It is.
Toni Storm defends against Britt Baker, Athena, and Serena Deeb.
So the only note I would like to read before you get started is Athena's entrance mask is awful.
It's like what she had in NXT, if you remember.
And like I told you, she needs to figure out what's going on with her character and her gimmick. She needs to like...
The Fallen Goddess is a fine nickname, but like I don't get what the gimmick is.
Sometimes you need to edit, right? Like everything you want to do, like I want to have wings, I want to have a mask, I want to have face paint, I want to have...
How does it play into...
contact lenses. I want, like, just figure out... And maybe it's not all her fault because she's not given time to explain. She's also, in my opinion, not good at explaining anything. So it's just like there's so much of her stuff, but I have no idea overall what it means, right? So it bugs me. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
So some notables. Storm and Athena take up Baker and Deeb right off the bat. They go at it with some holds and counters after, just kind of the two of them. There's a multiple hold thing by Deeb on Storm and Athena. She ends with a suplex to Athena while she has Storm's legs tied up.
Looked cool. Deeb is sick.
There's a Tower of Doom with Athena on the bottom.
Yep.
We come back from commercial break with Storm and Deeb both holding a half crab. So Storm's got Baker in one, then Deeb's got Athena in one, and they're kind of hitting each other while they're applying the holds, and then they kind of break them off, and it kind of breaks down to a strike exchange between Deeb and Storm. Deeb hits a neck breaker over the middle rope to Baker. Athena does a power spot holding Deeb and Baker at the same time, then slams them.
I'm super surprised by that.
That was really cool. And she lands on Baker.
Yeah, so she lands on Baker's face and breaks it, and Baker is a bloody mess by the end. Again. She looks amazing again, bloody.
It's the same. It's the same
she's
visual.
Like this beautiful woman with this like flashy, like bejeweled outfit,
yeah, it's
right?
Like this glittery gear,
and then like blood pouring out of her face. She looked amazing, but unfortunate because a nose or something's broken. I haven't read yet, but something happened.
Athena goes for something. Storm tries to backdrop her out, but she rebounds at the ropes to hit that like shoulder lift into the code breaker move.
Looked awesome.
Was pretty cool for 2.
Yeah.
Baker gets Storm to crucifix pin for 2, and then Storm counters back into a pin of her own and picks up the win. After the match, Baker attacks Storm as she was celebrating. Baker's now busted open from that.
Sure is.
It's the same visual we got all the way back, like that's on the t-shirts, and like so kind of a throwback there. Hayter runs out and attacks Storm. Storm and Baker they seemingly reunite, and they gang up on Storm, and Athena and Deeb joins in. There's a stomp to Athena. They're about to apply the lockjaw, but some music hits, and out walks Saraya. FKA Page from WWE.
Correct.
I think her contract expired like around in July.
And I'm pretty sure she's cleared to wrestle. I remember reading that a while ago.
That was the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And the heels run off as she comes in the ring. I thought it was another good match. I feel like it could have had some more time, as is the case with a lot of women's matches, but I think with what they got, I think they did a really good job and they packed in some cool bits. I think Athena actually comes out of this looking pretty good. She was the bottom of the Tower Doom spot. She had the double slam spot that caught me off guard. Also busted Baker. I hope it's not a huge injury again, but it was still...
It looked cool in the moment. Yeah, unfortunate, but looked cool.
Yeah, and she hit that cool codebreaker move, or codebreaker-esque move to Storm off of the rope rebound, which is pretty cool. I think Deeb also got a really nice showing in here. The exchange with Storm was good. The double hold spot was cool. I think Storm and Baker got some cool spots too. Like I said, I wish this was longer, but I think they made good use of the time that they had. I thought the post-match had some interesting bits. Like the attack was standard, but I think Hayter realigning with Baker's interesting, because I feel like either, like, given what happened at All Out, because that's still a thing, and also, in addition, the breadcrumbing they did a while back, if we remember that, and how hot Hayter is with the fans right now. I feel like this is either ruse or a temporary thing. I think either
I'm agreeing 100%.
Hayter is faking Baker out to get closer to her, kind of like so she can catch her off guard, which I think is totally a possible thing. Or things are actually smoothed over, and it's just going to take like one more thing to set everything off. Right?
That last straw.
It's one of those, exactly, yes. Yep. And then we also had the debut of Saraya, which when I saw this on Instagram, I was surprised because I hadn't heard anything about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just
last thing I heard was she's cleared, and then nothing after that.
Yeah, I would have expected her to go back to WWE.
Same.
As for how I feel about that, I'm okay with it. I wouldn't say I'm super excited about it, but I think it's a solid addition. Like, and so if she's clear, which I guess she is, I'm interested to see her because she was pretty good in WWE for their standards, right? Like,
yes,
I think she was pretty solid on the ring.
Back in the day, for sure.
I generally liked her. Before she was taken out of commission for a while, so hopefully there's not a lot of ring rust there. None of the matches tonight have been bad. Like this one was actually really good. I like this better than the Atlantic title, but it was really good.
Oh, I'm just clicking on something that's saying Saraya is not cleared to wrestle.
Interesting.
According to Dave Meltzer, she is not cleared to do so, but would like to be. So maybe anticipating she will be.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good match too.
A lot of good stuff in there.
The finish came out of nowhere and maybe could have been more satisfying, but it makes sense, right? The champion in a 4-way match is looking
You
for
got to
any
take whatever opportunity you can get. Yeah.
I thought these 4 looked great, and I think I agree with you that Athena was the standout here, right? Um, in a couple different spots, which is great because she's good in the ring. She just needs to figure out everything else. Really good pace to this, right? No real major mistakes other than a face breaking, but it still looked good in the midst of the match. Um, I mean, if I'm going to nitpick, because I did like this match, Tony Storm hasn't been the standout, I don't think, in any of these matches, right?
I think she's been like solid in there, but like.
And you can work that into a story if you want to, right? People can use that against her. Like, you're just kind of hanging on in these 4-person matches because other people are doing damage, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I thought this was a really good match. The Soraya stuff, like, I've never been a huge fan of her, but and I can't say that I've really missed her, but she is talented and she did get a very good reaction, right? So that also just kind of added to this whole thing. You had a really good match. You had a surprise debut that people reacted to. So this show, right? Another really good thing on this show.
Yeah. Next we get a Darby Allin vignette. So he's walking across the street, dragging a body bag, and he's in the subway sitting with the body bag. And he's dragging across the street, and then he goes into a taxi. And he says he's heading to a funeral, and then he says Arthur Ashe.
And not just a body bag, but a body bag with clearly a body in it, right? Like,
so is it Sting, I guess?
So whatever it is, it's just that image is funny, right? That I laughed at this quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, then I guess like, is he going to a funeral? He's like bringing a body. Like I don't know.
I don't
know. So this is back to the Darby vignettes of old here, and I loved it. It was kind of amusing. The music track I thought they chose was really cool, and I think it fit really well as well. The visual of Darby dragging a body bag around the streets with presumably someone in it, or maybe something in it.
I think it's just, I don't even know if it'll lead to anything specific. It's just like more vignettes.
It's a nice little build to that,
and it's just more of like Darby Allin does weird things in his own time.
Maybe it's the body bag. Maybe it's got great Muda in it.
Like last week, he's jumping, doing 3 flips with tricycles. Now he's dragging dead body. Like, this is just Darby Allin does weird stuff. Was
Rampage in this match, so maybe it's got great Muda in it.
So I thought this was pretty good dark humor.
I like the bit he said to the taxi driver was cool. It was just like cool as like funeral at Arthur Ashe, and I don't know, it was cool, and it reminds me a lot of cool Darby back in the good old days.
Pre-Sting, like dark, cool vignettes that were his own style, and he barely said anything. Right, this is like a throwback to what got us really into Darby Allin. I feel like so I really like this as well. What a surprise! I really liked something on this show.
Really, a nice throwback here for sure.
I liked it.
Next we get our main event: Jonathan Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, the Grand Slam Tournament Champions Final for the AEW World Championship.
Talk about their gear for a second. I love Danielson's gear.
I like Danielson's gear is very nice. It's like a nice like red and black with a white outline on some parts. I think some of the back of the gear has like some blood splatter on it, which I think looks really nice. It's a really nice gear. It's a really nice, and I like Mox's gear layout nowadays. It's got like that like paint sash or whatever on his left leg, and like the one time it was like yellow with Undisputed on it, which I thought looked really cool. This time it was like red with like Mox on it. He had like barbed wire strands on his right leg. So I thought that was, I really like Mox's gear. It's like simple, but it looks really cool to me.
Yeah, they looked good for this.
I like it.
Kind of added to that big fight feel, right?
Yeah, it looks really nice. So we get some holding encounters early on, which I don't type a lot, but kind of fun to say there's a lot here. Chops and kicks in the corner by Danielson. Then he sends Mox opposite corner for running drop kick. More corner strikes by Danielson. He was just relentlessly peppering Mox, like just.
That's the word I use a lot. Relentless with this dude.
Oh yeah, he just kept kicking him, and Mox's poor chest.
Yes.
I'm surprised it didn't the blood's not coming up.
It got red, but it didn't break open.
No, I'm surprised. Have we ever seen Danielson versus Harwood? That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Danielson seats Mox on the top rope, gets shoved off, and so then he drop kicks Mox off the ropes and then falls with a running knee from the apron on the outside. Danielson is wrenching Mox's arm over his shoulder, and then Mox Mox is on the apron, so Mox kind of grabs him in a sleeper choke and then pulls him over the apron. Danielson counters around, hits a German suplex on the apron, which is pretty cool. There's a front chancery suplex by Danielson, and he goes for a diving shotgun dropkick. But Mox catches it, puts him in a half crab, but transitions into an ankle lock. And so Danielson's kind of getting up from that ankle lock, and he's kind of on his one foot. So with the leg capture, Mox hits like a half and half suplex, which is cool.
Yeah,
and they noted like with the leg capture, there kind of puts a weird torque on the leg when you're kind of getting tossed like that. So that was kind of cool.
That was probably Regal's detail, I'm guessing. Yeah,
and also like I guess like it would target the neck too, because
which is
Danielson
his Achilles.
Yep. Mox and Danielson are atop the turnbuckles. Mox back rakes and headbutt Danielson. He goes for a superplex, but Danielson slips out, crotches Mox, and then gets back up to hit an avalanche back suplex to Moxley.
Looked great.
Then off of that, Danielson did like a stackman for 2, and then Mox off the kick out transitioned into the bell lock, which he briefly holds, but Danielson did transition out pretty soon because it's his own hold.
Yep.
He lays out some body blows to Mox, just like mounting him, and just like the punches to the ribs. They end up in position with both their legs entangled, and then they're like kind of like head standing and slapping each other, which is a really interesting spot.
Crazy.
I feel like we've seen this once before, and I think it was also Danielson. Then it moves to Danielson getting Mox and cattle mutilation until Mox gets out. Danielson catches him with the hammer and anvil elbows for a bit. Danielson hits a roundhouse to Mox, but tweaked his ankle a bit and allows Mox to hit a lariat. Mox goes for the lariat again, but Danielson ducks it, hits the psycho knee for a near fall. Later on, Mox hits a curb stomp, homage to Seth Rollins, and a paradigm shift for a near fall. So that was a nice little string of finishers.
It was.
Wrist capture stomps by Danielson. Mox ankle picks him, then so he's kind of like laying down with holding both of Danielson's feet, and he's just like kicking him in the face, like just flat boot, kicking him in the face. And then Danielson kind of kicks back too and gets to his feet, and then stomps Mox even more. So Mox is kind of on the entrance ramp, just catching his breath or whatever, and so Danielson hits a diving knee to the outside, going for the arm, and then he looks to follow up as Mox kind of like went down the ramp a bit more, but Mox hits a paradigm shift on the entrance ramp and rolls Danielson in for a near fall. That was really cool.
Yes.
Kind of slid down the ramp.
He did. Mox did after he hit it.
Danielson did last year when Omega hit the Snapdragon.
And it just makes it look like he's so exhausted he can't even fight. Like he's just sliding down because he doesn't have any energy left.
Sliding down the road.
Yes.
And the finish comes a Mox locks in a sleeper, and Danielson tries to do that thing where like you kind of like push your feet off the corner and flip out, but then Mox kind of flips over and he hangs on, so he locks in the sleeper. He's kind of like now on top of Danielson, and he's able to submit him for the win, which was pretty cool.
It was cool.
Jesus, I wrote a lot.
I love this match. And something else that was before I get into the match was so MJF is up in like the
he's
top
just sitting with a giant poker chip.
And honestly, like they kept doing like 2-second cutaways, and he's performing in every one of them, right? And he's not detracting from the match or overshadowing it, but like so that added to it too. And just these couple seconds at a time, and he's always doing something, right? That's in character for him, which is amazing. But I don't know, man. I'm going to gush about Danielson for a minute. He's just like, no matter what position you end up in or where you are in the ring, out of the ring, he's coming forward straight to you, right? With something impactful and or painful. And I love it, right? He's just relentlessly coming at you, and he knows so many ways. It doesn't matter where you are or what position you're in. He's hitting you with something straightforward or complicated, whatever. And then I talked about it. I'm coining the phrase, I think. Mox is micro selling, right? So he's not quite no selling, because I don't love that sometimes. Right. But he's like, yes, that chop stings, but I'm really tough. And that's what you get from Mox. Like, yes. So again, he's putting over the other person and himself in these tiny little moments. Like I said to you, I love Ishii, but sometimes his no selling, especially after taking like 15 minutes of punishment, I don't love. But I like what I would say is Mox is like tiny little micro cells, a detail I like a lot. There's some amazing near falls here. And it was just the story of the relentless Danielson and the defiant Moxley. Brilliant story told here. I noticed a detail, again, this is wrestling nerd levels, but whatever. Hopefully some of you appreciate it. Like, only when Danielson created too much space, right? When he went up top to hit something to Mox on the mat, that's when Mox was able to gain control, right? Mm-hmm. Is when, if Daniel just hadn't created that space, maybe it never happens, right? And Mox's story is that he's not refined like Danielson. He's more of a brawler, but he's tough as nails, and he's going to hit you as hard as he can when he gets the chance, right? And Danielson gave him a chance, and that's when he kind of took over. So I love the combination of these guys. I thought this was fantastic match and a crazy end to like an amazing show. I love this. You can tell I love this match. Yeah, mm-hmm. You?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Like the first match way back at Revolution this year, I think. A night of stellar matches. I don't think this disappointed. It's exactly what I would have expected from these two, and they put on a great one. A lot of technical stuff and a lot of just hitting each other. Danielson dominated a lot of the early going, which was surprising to me. Like he was striking him a lot. Mm-hmm. So he was in control a lot of the early going, which kind of surprised me. And I was kind of just like, how much longer can you just go like hitting the crap out of him? But it did even out more as we went, and I like Danielson once again making his point to work that arm again for the label lock. He also didn't just be kind of targeting Mox wherever he could. A lot of headshots, a lot of body shots, and then a lot on the arm as well. On that note, I like Mox exploiting Danielson's bad leg again from last week, which feels like exactly what like Blackpool Combat Club is all about. And then when Danielson also hit that roundhouse, his foot kind of gave out, which I thought was funny because it was, whether it was intentional or not, it seemed like kind of a nod to the Punk match, the first one.
Could be.
Some of the near falls towards the end were really good too. The curb stomp was cool. The paradigm shift on the ramp was awesome. The bit where they were headstanding and slapping each other was unique. That was really cool. I love the Danielson submissions as well. Moving the triangle and the label lock was pretty cool. And cattle mutilation is always really nice. I like the finish too, like Moxley hanging out the sleeper and Danielson passing out, not tapping. I think that works for both of them. Mox had to use the choke.
Right.
Danielson didn't tap. And Moxley won. Everyone's been saying for the past week or so, Danson's going to win.
Here we go.
Punk leaves, Danson's going to win. Because that happened in Ring of Honor. It happened in WWE. And it was going to happen again. But no, it was Moxley. I said it was going to be Moxley. And I called Mox from the beginning. My boy did it again. I'm very happy for Mox. I think he should have had the title the whole time, but Punk be Punk. So
Punk be Punk.
Regardless, he has the title again, so that's all that matters. I think everyone knew it would come down to these two.
Yes.
But everyone picked Danielson, and suck it. I was right.
It's not the outcome I would have preferred, but I'm totally fine with it.
I prefer Mox because
I know
Danielson deserves a better run than dropping it to MJF because it's going to MJF anyway. Anyways,
yes.
And kind of another suck it to Punk. That's great. It just goes back to Moxley. So
nice.
Eat my butt. And Hangman won the Battle Royal, so Mox versus Hangman, which is awesome for me too. My favorite guys. It's just another suck it to Punk, and I love it. I know Moxley will probably drop it to MJF, but got to enjoy while it lasts. It's still great. Mox is dependable as ever. Like
he is.
It's an excellent choice.
I'm a fan. I'm officially a fan.
Great main event. Congrats to Mox. He totally deserves it, and this was awesome.
All right. Overall, top to bottom, man, this is one of my favorite episodes of Dynamite ever. Probably. It is super in-ring heavy, right? The vast majority of this show was wrestling, and all of it was good. There was nothing that I wouldn't say was at least a very good TV match. We even talked briefly and said, like, quote unquote, what was the worst match on this show? It'd be between probably Cassidy Punk and the women's match, and I really liked both of them, right? So the worst match on this show would be better than the best match I see on many episodes of NXT 2.0 over the past year. To use like an outdated, obscure phrase, it was, I think, the title of an album. This show was all killer, no filler, right? There was maybe 60 seconds of this show I didn't like, and that was the Cargill segment, just because I had no idea what was going on.
And that was like less than a minute, I think.
Right, so this, for me, has to be an A-plus show, because if this isn't an A-plus show, what more do I want, right? Like, what did I get, 4 or 5 matches that
5, I think.
all were really good to amazing? So
were all of them for a title?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
I was thoroughly entertained for 2 straight hours, and honestly, this is one of those, like, if you didn't watch this show, I'm basically like, go check this show out top to bottom, right? There's nothing really you need to skip. Amazing show, A+, which I'm super happy to say. Mm-hmm. It's what I'm hoping for when they come to Canada. Let's go.
We'll see. Overall, I'd say the show is fantastic. Definitely earned the grand part of the name.
Yep.
I don't think a single match on the show missed. Jericho Claudio was pretty great opener, especially by Jericho standards. I think he did a lot better here. And pulled out a shock result, which is always interesting because I genuinely did not expect that at all.
Me either.
The tag title match was great as well. A worthy successor to the first and a hot result. Pac versus Cassidy was pretty good too. They have a nice dynamic. Probably like the lowest ranking one on the show for me, but still a really good one. Like, it's not to knock it or anything. The women's match was very good. I thought it did a great job for the time they got, and the aftermath was interesting enough. And the main event was fantastic with a result that made sense and that I picked. And everyone
did you mention that? Did you pick that?
I picked it.
Oh yeah, you did.
Oh, I wish we did battles for this because I would totally rub that in your face.
You are already.
Segments were mostly on point as well. A solid Mox Nielsen package. Fine FTR segment. The longest segment you did MJF was pretty good. Cargo thing not good, but lasted less than a minute, so it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And the Darby videos were great because it felt like the videos of old. With so many big matches, there are a little less segments here, but it's a great show top to bottom. Except the matches are making up most of the show. Yes. And they were all really good. Like, that's 5 great matches on one TV show, so I think that's like, what more are you asking for? And I think this is one of the best AEW shows, period, let alone a Dynamite show. I think this would beat out some of the lesser pay-per-views.
Ooh, that's it's close.
Just
maybe.
like I don't know. It's definitely up there. All the matches delivered. The worst match was still really good. The only segment I didn't like was minuscule. Definitely felt like a special show and definitely a big one.
Yes.
Like it should have been. I think this one earned an A+ for sure. Like it's one of their best. I guess that would make it their best show, like the best Dynamite at least. Great stuff here. I'd recommend checking out the matches from the show if you haven't. Danielson Omega last year was great, but I think this year's Grand Slam definitely improved over last year's edition.
Yeah, me too. Top to bottom,
a lot
amazing.
of great stuff. So much. I would recommend checking out like all the matches.
Me too. All right, that wraps up our very detailed and enthusiastic this week Dynamite review. We'll take a break with a little bit of trivia here in a segment we call Off the Top of His Head. All right, I just grabbed some questions from various places. I think there's about 15, but some of them include more than one question, so there might be closer to 20. Doesn't matter, and some might be, I always say, repetitive, but I don't remember asking them. Sometimes you don't remember answering them, and it still shows off your vast knowledge of this topic. So let's go. This one I don't think you'll know. Who brought an end to Bruno Sammartino's title reign? His giant title reign of however many years.
Ivan Koloff.
You do know that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, why would you know that? But I say that a lot, so why would you know that? You just know that?
Books and stuff.
Trivia, trivial knowledge. The youngest superstar to win the WWE Championship. WWE specifically.
Lesnar?
Correct. Youngest to win World Heavyweight title.
Orton.
Correct. Shortest ever title reign. I know we've done this before, but whatever.
Yokozuna?
No, and I remember
like
you didn't get it last time. Yes.
Like just any title?
Yes.
Would it be Jillian?
WWE title.
Oh, WWE title?
Or I guess it wouldn't have been back then. It would have been WWF because it's in 88.
Oh, Andre?
Correct. Why? Explain that.
Because he tried to sell it.
What do you mean?
To DiBiase.
Correct. Which wrestler suffered a concussion, a dislocated jaw, a dislocated shoulder, and a bruised kidney, but still finished the match? Very famous.
I don't know.
Think about the biggest fall ever, probably. Really? Hell in a Cell?
Oh, okay.
Foley going through the cage?
Gotcha.
Yes, those are all injuries he suffered in that match and still finished. 6 superstars who've won the WWE World Heavyweight, Intercontinental, United States, and Tag Team. At least 6 as of when this was published. You might tell me there's more.
Which world title?
It just says World Heavyweight.
Like the big gold
They're
belt?
probably counting both. Just start rhyming off names and I'll tell you if you're right. I don't know the details because they didn't give them. No.
What Reigns counts?
Okay, fine. Then it's probably not up to date.
All the Shield.
Don't get mad at me.
All the Shield.
Nope.
Orton, Jeff Hardy.
Nope.
Jericho.
Nope.
Those all work.
For a World Heavyweight, Intercontinental, United States, and Tag? Okay. Well, they're not on this list.
Miz.
Yes.
That counts too.
He's there. Who else? None of those first ones you named. Not saying you're wrong. Maybe this article's old.
I am right.
I'm sure you are. Who else?
Hold on. Let me think.
One we just talked about.
Kingston?
No. Not according to this.
That's dumb. Edge?
Yes.
Michaels? Nope.
Nope.
I say Jeff Hardy.
Think more of the SmackDown era. He's not on there.
Angle?
Yes.
Benoit?
No.
Guerrero?
Correct. Someone we just watched in AEW.
Jericho?
No. Just talked about.
Daniel Bryan?
Correct. And The Big Show. That's who they're saying. Anyways.
I got a lot more.
This one's interesting. The WWE Championships changed hands a record 11 times in which year?
99.
Why? Why do you know that?
I just assumed Attitude Era.
Because you just were thinking a whole bunch of changes?
Because that's hot potato time.
It was. That's very smart. That is very true. Who faced off in the very first Inferno match? And what year did it take place?
Kane and Undertaker.
Yes.
Is it Unforgiven 98?
Correct. Very good. Teams involved, event name, and year for first ever dumpster match. So 3 questions in one.
Okay, so it was New Age Outlaws, and then Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack.
Yes.
And then it was Mania 14.
Yes.
Was it? And then 98.
Wow, you're good.
Yeah.
You are good. What WWE did a death storyline for a character in a feud with Undertaker. So a few questions. Who died? How did he die? At what event did he die? And what was the aftermath, like, reaction storyline-wise?
Was it Bearer?
No, it wasn't Bear
It wasn't
Die.
Concrete
Or maybe
Crypt?
that wasn't the only death storyline then.
Okay, I was thinking Concrete Crypt. Not like
It
the
was a
whole,
very controversial segment. The death.
not the Vince thing, right?
No.
Uh,
A character from the 80s was back later with a different look and stuff and got murdered by Undertaker. You know it. I know.
Boss Man?
Yes.
Oh, when he got hung?
Yes. And when was that?
Mania 15 in a Hell in a Cell match.
Correct. And do you know what happened after?
No.
So basically, what I was looking, it's hard to get to too. The storyline didn't go over well with fans. So basically, 3 weeks later, Boss Man was back without any explanation to take on Kane. It was just like, no, he's not really dead, but no, because people were like, they went too far. You know what I mean? You're hanging a man on live television. Like, this is crazy.
On pay-per-view.
So they kind of backpedaled. Sorry, yeah, on pay-per-view. What are the 3 times that Mike Tyson made WWE appearances?
Mania 14.
Correct.
Sometime in 2010.
Doing in what capacity? You're right.
Guest GM.
Keep trying to pull details to catch you, but you know them. And then the final one's kind of cheating a little bit because it's on like
Fame, I don't know.
Correct. Yes.
Oh.
Hall of Fame induction. I was like, that's kind of cheap to try and think of that as an appearance, but that is it. 1999. This wrestler allegedly made a genuine pitch to Vince McMahon to get breast implants for the sum of $1 million.
Goldust.
Thinking it might save his career.
Goldust.
Correct. McMahon is said to have even considered the idea before ultimately turning it down. It was Goldust. What WWE performer was actually a licensed mortician and funeral director in real life? Story checks out. We'll say
Reverend Devon.
No.
Midian.
No.
Undertaker.
Close.
Kane. Gangrel.
Don't think wrestler necessarily.
Paul Bearer.
Yeah, it's basically his gimmick was he's shoot a mortician. In 2000, which this WWE star rushed into a house fire and rescued 3 children, but was burned across 40% of his body.
Sabu?
No.
Nice.
Just because of all the scars?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
a star from the star is a bit strong word. Never had a major title, I don't think. Big boy, athletic, many tattoos. Maybe on his head.
Bigelow?
Yes, I'd forgotten that story.
I had no idea.
Last one, which is probably the easiest one, which is not my plan on these usually. Who was the first WWE star, or WWF at that time, to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated? Take a wild guess. And I'll give you a hint of a year if you're wrong enough times.
What? What?
Who was the first star to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated? First wrestler.
I don't know. Cena?
If it's in
Austin?
it's in 1985.
Hogan.
Correct. Who would it be? Who else would it be? Very good.
Mr. T.
All right, so that wraps up our trivia. We're now going to move into just talking about whatever else we happen to see this week in wrestling in a segment we love to call Highspots and Restholds.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start out with I watched all of NXT, all of Impact Wrestling, and a couple matches, as I said, of Victory Road, and I think you picked up some nuggets from main roster this week. Is that where
I typically do.
Which I appreciate because I don't. So,
because who would want to?
Right. So starting out in NXT, we had I told you about it and how little sense I thought it made. The stripping of Solo Sikoa of the North American title.
What would that be, Resthold?
That is a Resthold, yes, because
basically it's kind of weird.
The show opened with Shawn Michaels saying that he's taken the title from Sikoa. Sikoa wasn't supposed to be in the match, etc., etc. Bottom line, it's almost like basically they're saying the match didn't happen, but Carmelo Hayes.
Why give him his title back?
So why watch him have the match, right? Why let him win and celebrate and take the title and go defend it, right, against Moss, didn't he?
Yeah.
On main roster
last week, yeah.
And then come back and go, we're stripping you of the title. So if they had done
he took it to the press conference.
If he had done it right away or come out after the match and said this doesn't count, then maybe it makes sense.
Sure, it'd be like bad television, but like.
And then you're also going, this match should never have happened, but we're not giving it back to the guy that lost, right? Like, how does Hayes not get it back? But then I thought maybe a glimpse of hope is, are we getting a authority figure, right? Because that's the capacity it felt like. Because the whole, remember how frustrating it was with people making their own matches?
Oh yeah, it's weird.
Every show, all show.
I hate it.
So that was a rest hold for me. Then right after that was a high spot, which was the opening match. It was the second match in the series for Axiom and Nathan Fraser. So it was a 13-minute. I mean, the wins really, the outcome was predictable because they're going to want this to be tied up. And Fraser did win to tie the series. Lots of cool stuff in here. There was one where Axiom went for his like flying kick to the head, and Fraser countered with a really nice super kick. And then I had already told you the finishing sequence was really cool. Fraser hit a really nice superplex, never let go, rolled through and directly into. Now, is curtain call the right name, or was it the final cut?
Final cut.
It's the suplex lift into a twisting net breaker.
Curtain call was like an inverted lift.
Right. So, and then followed by like a perfect Phoenix splash to pick up the win. So really fun, fast-paced match for an opener. I guess another high spot, at least, is Damon Kemp seems to be getting better. He cut a pretty lengthy heel promo here. And I guess just because he was doing absolutely nothing as a babyface, right? Like, he wasn't believable at all. So this is a welcome change. And
it's at least like a bit of character, I guess.
Yeah, he sounded decent cutting a promo on Diamond Mine here, right? Because he's the guy that's been making it look like it's Strong that's the problem, but it's really him sort of thing.
Strong's still injured, yeah.
I think so. He hasn't been around, at least. Another Resthold was Toxic Attraction, maybe on their way out the door against Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley, right? I have Paxton, but that is not right. I thought that match was a bit rough. I thought Nile showed a few flashes, but Paxton looked particularly weak here. Paxley. It's Paxton every time. But then again, we randomly saw a Level Up match, and I thought they looked actually a lot better there. So I don't know why we just turned the TV on, I guess.
I don't know why. Either.
Level Up must have been on because you have it on the WWE channel a lot. And I know
sometimes they got stuff there.
And as we said, Toxic Attraction are rumored to be moving on, but they're really not very impressive, and they weren't here. Another rest hold for sure was Schism cut. I called it an unbearable promo aimed at Cameron Grimes before a match sort of they had against Inoue and Blade, and each member of this group spoke and really didn't say anything. And I swear to you, man, you can actually watch the crowd like disengage and get restless from this. People start moving around, people start getting up and going to do something else. Like, it's getting like super go away heat from everybody. They need to really end this and let the grizzled young veterans go back to what they were doing, or if you want to repackage them again, I guess it can't be worse than this. And there's a rumor because you can see some like a figure with a red hoodie is around, and apparently that's going to be Isla Dawn that's going to be joining Gacy's group. So
oh god,
R.I.P. to her career probably. This faction is death and needs to stop. Another rest hold really quickly. Apollo Cruz's bleeding eye. This is his new, because in his match with Grayson Waller, he got eye gouged twice. So he came up and cost Waller the match against the debuting Oliver Carter, who is now Oro Mensah. And so Cruz, his eye is like there's a drop of blood dripping from his eye permanently on his face right now, which is
permanently,
which is lame. Well, I guess at least for now. Another kind of
I didn't see a shot of it. It looks weird.
Rest hold was, I was going to say low spot, but that's not the term. Was Von Wagner Sanga, right?
What? Von Wagner?
And that's my thing, is it was about what you expect it to be, so it wasn't good. Like, Sanga is interesting in segments. I kind of like his dynamic with Faraz and Leon. And he hit a couple decent move things here, and he's absolutely huge, right? Like, the thickness of this dude
he's like burly guy.
Yes, yeah. That's the term. Like, he is like not just tall, but he's like wide as well. So anyways, he looked okay, but pretty basic, to be honest. And Wagner did even less, but I will say he picked up Sanga to hit that finisher that we're not sure what it is, but like the fact that he hit it to Sanga is pretty impressive, right? But not a good match. Then the last thing from NXT I wanted to talk about in a high spot for me was the Tyler Bate versus McDonough for number one contender for Braun Breaker's title. I thought it was an excellent main event, and I thought McDonough showcased some really cool stuff here that looked great. He had a 450, a brainbuster, a top rope Spanish fly, a standing Spanish fly. This thing only got 13 minutes, but these guys got a lot done. Told a pretty good story of like two evenly matched, similar sized guys just sort of battling for a title shot, so it felt kind of important as well. And then at the end, right, another thing I think is cool is Ilya Dragunov showed up. And that just gives me hope.
I thought his theme was really bad, but it's cool that he's there.
Right, and just as a person hoping NXT improves, right, the fact that they're adding more and more established talent, they have to involve these talent in something. So there's hope that we get good matches. And I was telling you that I'm hoping that the new logo is really symbolic, right? Because it's mostly the black and gold with a little bit of white, which is the main color of the 2.0 era.
Oh,
So
really? I thought the main color was all the colors.
so I'm hoping what they're saying is like it's going to be like 2/3, 3/4, black and gold with a little bit of the developmental stuff mixed in, because I'd be totally fine with that, right? You got to find a balance where there is good wrestling happening, but you're also developing people, and I think that's the sweet spot they're going for. Do you want to throw in a few here before I go to Impact?
Yeah, sure. So Resthold was Brawling Brutes on Raw.
Said it again.
For 3 reasons. They're SmackDown guys, their name sucks, and Butch is still Butch. I hate Butch.
That is a recurring theme for you. Free Butch. That's what t-shirts we should get.
I need to.
Free Butch.
Yeah,
Hashtag Free Butch.
I hate it so much, and he's
so
we're
good.
so close.
That's the frustrating
we're so close.
part, because we know how good he is.
Yeah.
And they are not showcasing him.
And we're so close. Like, he's literally Butch in all, but like he's literally just Butch in name and and a bit of his character.
You could
but
put
like,
Butch in Fight Pit too, easily.
Oh yeah, well, not at the moment.
No, but like if
Pete Dunne,
yes,
could fight Pitt.
For
Pete
sure.
Dunne could fight Pitt all day.
Yep.
Yeah, I have SmackDown one, so if you want to go, and then I can.
All right, so I got Impact High Spot opening ladder match. Caught me by surprise because it's.
All right, it was Myers and what's his face?
Is it Bhupinder?
Gujar.
It's Gujar, whatever I forget the first name off the top of my head.
Or something like that. It's a lot of letters.
For the digital media title, Gujar really impressed me because this was like him doing a longer match and like a stipulation match, which I haven't seen him do. He hit a really nice cutter off the ladder. His gargoyle spear, he gargoyle speared Myers into the ladder, which Myers sold really well and took really well, but it looked really good too. And then Gujar also took some serious offense. He got a back suplex off the ladder. He got powerbombed onto a ladder. There was also an Irish whip spot where Gujar gets whipped into a ladder that's standing up in the corner. Yeah. So he gets whipped into it, falls face first onto the mat, and the ladder just perfectly like slowly tips over and lands on him and makes good impact. So like you couldn't have scripted it better. And honestly, man, I say it a lot, right? Myers is a really good mid-card heel. He's like, I think, perfect for Impact. So he ended up winning the match, actually. He taped Gujar to the ladder and then just climbed basically up and grabbed it. So I really enjoyed that match. Another high spot for me, there was a 5-way match that was, I don't know if it was for an X Division shot. I wasn't quite clear on it.
But it was it's because they're doing a triple threat revolver at the pay-per-view, so it's like a preview thing.
So it was Taurus, Laredo Kid, Alex Zane, Trey Miguel, and Mia Yim. So a lot of talent I really like there, especially Taurus, Laredo Kid, and Zane. Really fun match and a big departure from previous intergender stuff, right? Because my complaint was always, you're having intergender and the women hit offense.
Yeah, didn't Taurus like kill her with a headbutt?
Yeah, he headbutted her badly. So
like in a good way.
And also on this show, like just because I'm talking about intergender, Jordan Grace squashed Zicky Dice too.
Oh right, yeah.
So Zane in this hit a bunch of his very unique offense. Laredo Kid always looks good. Taurus picked up a big win here. Good for him. He's somebody,
really?
Yeah, that we both really like and we think is kind of underused. He's really good, and just the fact that he wrestles in that head is
and he kind of does like the Luchasaurus kind of stuff, like like flipping doodads and whatnot.
So he won with it's called the Destination Hellhole, and it's like one of those quick sudden driver, like sit out drivers. It looked awesome. Yeah. So I thought that match was really cool. You saw this too, and I don't know if it's a high spot or a rest hold, but I did laugh at
Joe Hendry.
Was the Joe Hendry segment this week where?
Oh man, I can't. It's so. I genuinely don't know what to think either. It hurts my brain.
I almost started skipping because it looked like a commercial, and then I realized I was watching a version where the commercials are cut, so I kept watching, and it's basically a couple in their kitchen, and the wife is breaking to the husband that their child does not belong to the husband. And so he is obviously upset by this and wants to know who the father is. And I guess this is going to be the trigger to get us Hendry right, is say his name. And then, of
that's
course,
going to always be the thing.
Joe Hendry comes in and bursts into song, and the couple forget their troubles and start clapping and
just
singing along.
Sing along with Joe Hendry.
It's, I laughed,
it's
man.
Interesting.
It's so ridiculous that I found it funny. And I don't know. Like, obviously, they can't keep doing the same thing forever, but 2 weeks in, I'm like...
It's really weird.
It is super weird. So if you haven't seen it, you can go find just those clips online and see what you think. It's the height of ridiculousness, but it made me laugh.
It definitely is.
In the truest sense of a high spot, in the match with PCO and Heath, which I didn't love, but PCO got thrown off of the stage onto a section of chairs that were set up but empty. I'm not entirely sure if he landed on the chairs that were opened up, because I think there might have been a pile of ones like folded beside it, but it still looked pretty crazy. Do you want to sneak in, or you want to just fire off all my impact?
Oh yeah, and then I got a few more after.
Okay. Aussie Open versus Motor City Machine Guns was really good, as you would expect. I was honestly hoping for something great, and this wasn't, but it was good. I thought your boy Fletcher looked really good. I told you had like a sick-looking leaping Michinoku driver. And it's cool. This was just kind of interesting because both of these teams have really cool tandem offense, but like the Machine Guns, it's all about like quickness and stuff, right? And then you've got Aussie Open, it's more about power and stuff. So you get two different types of moves. Yeah. So the Machine Guns won with their top rope stomp into a flatliner, and that was kind of expected because they're going to be facing, is it OGK have the titles, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting that.
I don't know, more OGK.
We're getting that face heel dynamic that is preferable. So it's kind of figured that Machine Guns would win. Giselle Shaw, I thought, cut a solid promo on Mickie James. She seems to be getting better. It was like a calm, confident heel by Shaw that I liked. She's basically like, because Mickey's gimmick right now is this is her last run. As soon as she loses, she's done, sort of thing.
Like the Ric Flair bit.
Yeah, so Shaw was kind of going like, I'm going to do her a favor and beat her because she's got a loving husband and kids at home. I'm going to like send, you know what I mean? Like this calm heel, which I kind of liked. Resthold, everything involving Honor No More, basically, and Heath just does nothing for me. I actually have trouble paying attention to their segments. Like if I were forced to be doing like move by move stuff for this, I would struggle because they lose me in all of their stuff. But Impact overall was pretty good, and like I said, they seem to be going to longer, more competitive matches, which I liked. And then the only other thing that disappointed me, not that it was bad, is they ended the show with a segment and not a match. It was the contract signing where Sammy
signed it in blood.
Right, ended up taking out Moose and Macklin and signed it in blood. I thought Macklin actually sounded good in his promo, basically like, I've been to war. What are you guys going to do to me that like is going to be worse than that, right? Like nothing. Because Moose is like, it's nothing compared to, and he's like, dude, you're a football player and a pampered pro wrestler. I've been to war. What are you going to, like, I kind of like that idea. And then the only last thing was Victory Road. Like I told you, the opening match was fantastic. Delirious and Speedball. I put it on the list. It was like maybe, I don't know, like a 12, 13-minute match, but just really fast, really crisp, evenly matched, especially since like there was no build and there's no way Delirious is winning. I was still super entertained. Mike Bailey is awesome. People need to understand the 2022 this guy is having. He is just fighting constantly, not even just in Impact, in other places too, and having just super entertaining matches all over the country. So Mike Bailey, awesome wrestler. I might even like wrestler of the year, like, you know what I mean, honorable mention type of thing. Like, I don't think he's going to be in the running for me, but he has delivered a lot of entertaining stuff for me. And I'm done, so you may take it.
So Restholds from SmackDown Hit Row had like a watch party thing going on.
Lame. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see
and like Lotharios came in after and like just like attacked him.
So that's the level Hit Row's at?
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah.
That's in both. Not that I saw a little bit of them on one of the times they've been on, and there just seems to be something missing without Swerve, right?
Swerve is the thing.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah. There's a lot missing without Swerve.
Undecided, but maybe slight high spot. So Maximum Male Models lost to New Day, I think it was a pretty short match, but Max Dupree freaks out and walks off.
Yeah, so
probably LA Knight.
Because he's made references to both LA and Knight, right? Yeah. So it seems like that's which makes sense and is better for him. Not that even we were huge fans of LA Knight, but it's like
better.
Way better.
I don't mind LA Knight.
And his shtick will play well on main roster.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what they were thinking with this gimmick, but anyways.
Resthold, Braun Strowman versus Otis. It looked lame. Strowman won with like a jackknife looking powerbomb.
Nice.
He pounded Otis one of the other weeks too, so maybe he's taking Wardlow's gimmick. I like the power slam.
It's funny you say that because when I saw his debut or whatever, I was thinking the same thing, that WWE wants to go, we have an actual giant like monster guy, because Wardlow's like my height, right? He's not a huge guy, he's just big, whereas Braun Strowman is looking
I like him
crazy
doing
right
the power
now.
slam better though. I mean, it's a basic move too, but I at least thought that was his.
But when
thing.
you're that big and strong, a basic move hurts more, so it kind of makes sense, right? Yeah.
Then high spot, I'm just gonna mention again the Hangman won the Battle Royal, and he's gonna face Mox and suck at CM Punk.
Nice.
That's my high spot.
That's everything you had?
Yep.
All right, so we are going to move into our final segment. You did say you had stuff this week?
I think.
And that is where Jack takes a look at the world of wrestling action figures, updates us a little bit in what we call Figuring It Out with Jack.
So the first thing is like from Boss Fight Studios. I think it's Boss Fight Studios.
What is Boss Fight Studios?
It's one of the they make the Lucha Libre figures that got like one of those accessory packs at one time.
Okay.
And so they got like
you got it in Canada or we got it from
ringside.
Oh, okay.
Fanatico's Series 1 are in stock. It's like, so you got Lucha Bros. It's like, so Phoenix is kind of like wearing a black and orange. They put their shirts on, which is kind of weird. But Penta's in like a black and white with a shirt on, so it's kind of weird. It's like their bottom half is ring gear, and like didn't they have masks and
strange choice.
They had Ty Valkyrie in like orange and white, so that's kind of cool. And Hoovy, like an older Hoovy.
So Hoovy Juice,
and he actually has nipples.
Most people do.
No, but like the figures don't.
Right.
And then there's more images for Elite 97. There's King Woods in the white and yellow, and the red and yellow, which is the chase. And you have Sheamus, which is the new double jointed one with the protective mask and stuff, and he's got the big coat. You can put that on Ricochet.
Nice.
And then you got Ronda Rousey from Royal Rumble this year, which looks really lame because it's like that weird black gear that she wore at Rumble this year. Because like she didn't have actual ring gear or whatever.
Right.
You have Omos, which looks kind of lame because it's just Omos. Like, it's basic because it's Omos. And Chainsaw Charlie, which is interesting. And an interesting pick that they chose. But, I mean, that's kind of neat. It's like an obscure one that they put in. And then Alexa Bliss. She's got the doll. The doll's there.
Amazing.
She comes with the doll.
That's what you're going to want it for, right? You'll throw the figure out and keep the doll and just snuggle it.
And then the shipments are going out for some other series, like the new basics and the new battle packs. And then they put out some images for the Brock Lesnar and Ultimate Warrior. So it's Brock Lesnar, like it's basically current Brock. It's Farmer Brock with the longer hair. And he comes with the both belts with the side plates. So it's got like WWE title with his side plates and the blue universal with his side plates. Even though he never held the blue belt.
Details problem.
And then
continuity error.
And there's Ultimate Warrior. He's getting another Ultimate Edition, and it's from WrestleMania 7 with the Macho Man retirement match.
Nice.
And the coat's got like Macho Man on like the knee pad, and like it's actually really cool. Actually, it's a nice gear. It's got like it's like when Rick Rude had the tights with him and Warrior on.
Love
It's kind of like that.
Macho always had amazing gear.
And then so Ultimate Warrior's got like the coat with him and Macho on it, and his knee pads are like his face and Macho's face.
Right.
So that's kind of cool.
Nice. Anything else? What you got?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
I guess there's some images for the Mega Powers 2-pack, but it's nothing like super new.
Nice. Well, I guess that's the end of episode 114 from FNS Wrestling Podcast down here in the basement. Thanks for checking us out. Any time you spent with us is appreciated. If you would like to contact us, I don't know if I've thrown our information out in a long time. fnswrestling@gmail.com would be emailing me. FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram. We'll go to that guy over there.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to hear from anybody. Any feedback is always welcome. We promise we will get back to you. We will be back here next Saturday. I'm probably going to watch the rest of Victory Road. I don't know if I'll talk about it. Maybe I'll add it to something for next week, but I don't think there's anything else going on this week in the world of wrestling that we need to check out.
So not yet.
So it'll be back here next week for episode 115 next Saturday afternoon or evening, and we look forward to seeing you all back here, plus hopefully a few more then. And until then, take care.